Okay. And so, okay, the format for this meeting is a 10-minute speaker, our secretary's announcements, a coffee and snack break, and our main speaker. Tonight, our first speaker is Bella. Go. Hi, Bella.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Oh, perfect. Hey, everyone. Can y'all hear me all right? Yep.
Yeah. What?
I'm Bella. I'm an alcoholic.
What's up, Bella?
Sorry, hear the reverb. I'm not used to talking on a mic. It always makes me nervous. I guess I'll start with the stats. My sobriety date is December 6, 07, which means I just got 18 years of sobriety. Thanks. I would, bow, but I can't really take credit for it myself. I didn't get myself sober, just like, I don't make the sun rise or the moon go around in the sky. I don't know, 10-minute share is kind of weird. I always never know what to share on, but we'll see what comes out. I want to start with a little bit of gratitude for my friend Teri, who invited me to be here tonight, who gave me an opportunity to be of service, even though this drive is crazy far. It was like I got a chance to hang out and talk to her, and don't let the soft voice and blonde hair fool you. She's got a very hard story. And it's nice to be able to catch up with friends and to be of service. And it's funny because we end up talking about like a bunch of stuff that's going on in my life, and I'm getting help, and we're talking about stuff in her life, and she's getting help, and it's just kind of how this program works and how it's continued to work for me. It's been a wild ride. I mean, 18 years is a long time. I've been sober longer than I drank and used for. I only drank and used for 10 years, but 10 years was enough for me. I don't need to experiment anymore. I don't need to question it. I have enough horror stories that I truly believe in the bottom of my heart that I am powerless over alcohol, and it makes my life unmanageable. And when I say alcohol, I use the term loosely. Alcohol stands for anything that I can put in my body to make me feel different from how I am. Alcohol and drugs are my solution. They were my solution to life for a long time. They stopped being my solution and started being my problem. In fact, they were probably my problem right from the beginning too. But I mean, like, they added to the problems. But the real issue is between my head. So when I stopped having drugs and alcohol, I started turning to other things. I turned to women. I turned to spending money, shopping, eating. It's interesting. I basically, my addiction has jumped around between anything you can imagine, anything that will fill this hole in me that is God-sized. And fortunately, at this moment in time, because all I have is a daily reprieve, at this moment in my sobriety journey, I am filling it with driving all the way out to, where are we, Huntington? Manhattan Beach. I don't know. Once you get out of, I live near Lacma. Once you get out of LA, I'm like, where am I? No idea. But I fill my soul. I nourish this God-sized hole inside me with, driving out to random places. I'm working with a lot of different sponsees right now. I have 6 of them right now, which is crazy. I never thought I'd say that. I actually didn't have sponsees until I hit 7 years of sobriety. If you got a couple of years, if you just finished your 12 steps and you're like, wait, where's my sponsee? You don't have to feel bad. It took me a long time to get to that side of the program. And now I couldn't imagine life without it. But I was where I was, and I got to where I needed to be when I needed to be there. It's that simple. I'll share a tiny bit about what it was like, just so hopefully people here can identify. I definitely have a low bottom story. So, I often tell people, if you haven't done the crazy things I've done, just say yet. Because chances are, from what I've seen in this program, if you keep going back out, the yets keep happening. And if you think your story is way crazier than mine, and if anyone lived through what you lived through, they would still be drinking too, well, keep going to meetings, because you'll hear someone who shares your same experience, can identify with it. I definitely feel like I was born an alcoholic, just like I was born a lesbian. I can't help it. It's who I am. It's in my DNA. I just am this way. But, Lady Gaga put it best. I was born this way. And I was naturally inclined to see things, 5 minutes, thanks, to see things in the negative. And that's why at the beginning I talked about, the problem wasn't drugs and alcohol. They were my solution. They made me prettier, they made me skinnier, they made it so I could talk to people. Before I had it, I was this awkward, pimply, overweight kid. And when I had drugs and alcohol in my system, I was an awkward, pimply, overweight teenager, but I thought you liked me anyways. Or I thought I could get you to like me by sharing my drugs with you. Fast forward, I did a lot of crazy stuff out there. I prostituted for a long time. I share that openly in meetings just in case anyone's been through that or, going through something similar, to know that, no matter what happens through working these steps, and in particular the 4th step, I was able to come to a place of acceptance, both for my part and the John's part in that, and, everyone involved. It was interesting. I was talking to my wife today, and we were talking about that part of my story and some of the things that I'd done, and she said to me, like, it's the people with the worst histories and these things in their past that seem so traumatic and so terrible that can do the most good for people going forward. And I really identify with that, in the 9-step promises, where, we'll see how our experience can benefit others. Because when I first came in here, I was a bad person. It wasn't that I was a sick person who needed help. I didn't understand that yet when I first got here. The alcoholism and the addiction was, Bella is bad. Bella can't stop herself. Bella does these awful things. And I, learned that, yes, I played a role in the things that happened. I'm not completely, getting off scot-free. But that I was a sick person, not a bad person. And I've been saying that a lot with sponsees, going through the force with them, and, just trying to remind these incredible women I work with that they are beautiful, loving children of God, which is a weird thing to come out of my mouth because I never thought I'd say something like that. But I had a sponsor who started saying it to me, and it made me so uncomfortable. I was like, what? I'm a child of God? That's weird. And then, look, it's coming out of my mouth now because I started to believe it, because I started to believe that I was valuable and I was worth something. I went from, a prostitute to a very successful drug dealer because I'm a businesswoman. Thanks. To spending time in federal prison in Canada. Yes, Canada has federal prisons, not just igloos, but, to getting sober, to hitting a emotional bottom. Thank you, and getting sober. And then being able to look back on those things that had happened, not as, oh my God, I'm this awful person, I'm never going to be better. I have an excuse to keep drinking because my life was so bad. This is a chance for me to take my story and help others and to be of service and to continue to give back. Today I am a businesswoman. I just bought a company last week, which is insane to think about. That it's crazy. Like a drug dealing kid from the street just bought a legitimate business. Like, it's insane. My mind is still blown. I'm in, to get current, I'm in a bit of financial insecurity because I put my life savings into it. But thankfully, through this program, even that part of the 9-step promises has come true for me. I used to hear like the 9-step promises and hear fear of economic insecurity would leave us and think that meant I was going to be rich. It doesn't. It doesn't mean you're going to be rich. It means I'm never going to have to take a drink again, and I'm going to trust in my higher power that no matter how poor I am, I'm always going to be okay. I'm always going to be taken care of. And, today that is a fact of my life. I have trust in a power greater than myself, and that so long as on a daily basis I continue to do the things that I was taught, thank you, early on, like be of service, go to meetings, talk to people, be honest, open about it, continue to work with my sponsor, I'm redoing my steps. Like, so long as I keep doing those things, life just keeps getting better one day at a time. And sometimes it's harder and sometimes it's worse. I've lost my mom in this program, and I made it through without a drink. So no matter where you are in your journey, whether it's, as my first sponsor used to say, whether you are having the best day of your life or the worst day of your life, this too shall pass. We just keep going on. So thank you.
To get started here, before we reopen the meeting, next Saturday they're going to have a business meeting and elections for the trusted servant commitments, and it's going to start at 6:30. Where is she? Am I correct? Yeah. Next week. That'll be next Saturday, the 24th. Okay. So if you want a commitment, come on down and put your name in the hat. Okay, well, so let's reopen the meeting with a serenity prayer. God, grant me this serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Okay, now our main speaker will share her experience, strength, and hope with us. Please join me in welcoming Teri from Sherman Oaks. Hi, Teri. And there's some water there.
Okay, thanks. I have 8 waters from people from AA. I love it. I'm Teri. I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date is July 6th, 1995. My home group is the Alano Club in Palm Springs, California. I kicked and dried out at Sybil Brown Institute for Women back in the day, and I used mostly in Hollywood and all over Los Angeles. Happy to be here. Okay, check this out. The last time I was here, I came to see Mimi speak, and it was maybe 2 months ago, and they said, they did the Grapevine announcement and said you can borrow the Grapevine, so I borrowed 2, and I just brought them back. 2 months. That's AA for you. And I used to keep this ticket. You know, we had raffle tickets at AA sober conferences, and you're supposed to put one in the raffle box and keep one. It says, keep this ticket. And when I was new, and I kind of was getting AA, like what it means and honesty, so I kept it in my wallet because it said, keep this ticket. And I swear, I kept that 20 years until my wallet got stolen. But you know how athletes like do stuff, you know, because whatever, like they did it before and they won? I was so afraid to let that go because I got it from AA and said, keep this ticket, that like if I lost it or threw it away, I might go out. But then after a while, I'm like, oh, I'm still sober. All I need to do is keep coming. Okay. Funny, this is kind of funny. This was occurring to me. I couldn't drive here. They don't let me drive. So I called another alcoholic to drive me here. I had to ask for a 12-step. I walked in with a brace on my arm. It's a real big, bulky thing, and it's on the table. I took it off because I have to talk with my hands, but I got this jacked up arm. And I've got like spots on my face because they burned off precancerous stuff. So I'm looking, I'm coming in to you kind of tore up. But it's not because, but this is why. This is a life well lived in sobriety. Like I have precancerous shit because I spend my time on the beach. I have rotator cuff ripped because I'm in hospitality and I served a lot of appetizers and actually beer, and I've done a lot of weddings. I swam competitively. I started surfing when I was 40 years old. So it's just wear and tear. Like this what you're looking at is a well-lived sober life. So I'm just really proud to be walking in and having to ask for a ride. And thank you, Bella, for being of service, you know, all the way to Huntington Beach. You know, I mean, she doesn't know. Take the girl out of the city. She don't know where she is. My cousins, and my cousins are here, as part of them, are all from South Bay, born and raised. And my mom, that was my mom's sister. When we were kids, this is folklore. I don't know if it's true, but I think it is. So 2 women and her sister, my mom's sister, live in South Bay. They'd throw the kids in the ocean with floaties, because you could do that then. I don't know, the lifeguards were not very they were far away, we only had like 3 and 5 miles. They'd throw them in the ocean and they'd sit on the beach and drink. And so the mom said they'd watch the kids. All they could see was like our mouths going, and they'd laugh because they couldn't hear us. But anyways, yeah. Okay, let's just go back 30 years and what I really looked like when I came in here. And then I'll tell you how that happened, maybe. I don't know how it happened, but I had no eyelashes because I thought I had bugs in my eyes. I had abscesses. I had tracts down both sides of my neck. Abscesses. I had lice in my hair because all my wardrobe came out of the dumpster, and I like to wear hats, because I'm real good looking with a hat on. So I came into jail with lice, and they had to segregate me. Oh God. So yeah, real pretty, and real sucked up and pale, and sick. Not just on the outside, just on the inside too. But so there's your disease. There's my disease. That's why we're here. But the funny thing is, so I grew up in Southern California, in the suburbs, Glendale. I had a duck as a pet. I had mice as pets. I had dogs and cats and a family that stayed together, and we had a green lawn and rose bushes, and I got good grades. I got a scholarship to Pepperdine University. I lived in Malibu. I was engaged to a guy that owned the surf store there. He still does. And I was all set to, have a good life as a white, blonde, blue-eyed person. But that nice guy, I think it started when I was at Pepperdine. I had a happy childhood. I love animals and flowers and life and having fun and sunshine and the beach. But it just didn't look fun being an adult. It just didn't look that fun. And maybe I didn't even know that, but I had a stirring, like a little stirring in my soul, that even though when I was engaged to this nice person and the monsters started stirring, and I don't know why. I still don't know why. And does it matter right now? So I started drinking. I didn't even drink. I was such a good kid. Oh, let me just tell you an example. We weren't supposed to eat in the living room, and even when my parents left, and the older brother and sister were out, I would the linoleum stops at the kitchen, and then the carpet starts in the living room, and I'd stand on that line, and I'd eat my cookies watching TV. Like, I was a good kid. So when those monsters started stirring, I was so uncomfortable and so didn't want to go out in life and be an adult, and social situations, like, I guess it started in high school dances. I started drinking out of my parents' cupboard, and then I felt better, kind of like our beginning speaker said. Like, it just made me feel better, and I felt like I could talk to you, and I felt good in my skin, and it got me less uncomfortable. So most of the time when I went out, I drank, and drank through college, blacked out a little in college, still got good grades. And then it was the 80s. It was the 80s, and everyone had money. Ew, and everyone had, the people I hung around with had money, and everyone was doing coke, so I did that for a while. But I really fell in love with alcohol, and then found harder drugs, and really that's where I found my place in life, the feeling in life. So for a while I was just trying to live this on the outside, but became a junkie, and I got away with it for a long time because of the way I looked, and the cops at the time, and but I no longer could show up to family functions. So I lost my family, my good friends, my nice ones that like got married and had businesses and careers and stuff. They didn't want to. Well, I didn't want to show up for them anyways, but I didn't go to their baby showers, and so I lost jobs. You know, I had a pretty good degree, and I got a couple good jobs, but I couldn't hold them. And when I finally, I was pulling crimes, and when I finally I was living with one foot in, trying to put on a good appearance for cops or the family or the society, and then I had this other double life. Like once, and I can almost picture the day I was boosting at Bloomingdale's or Macy's, and I got busted again. I never went to jail for very long because, you know, and so these cops, I was cuffed and I was outside Bloomingdale's, and I gave them a fake name, and I told them I was underage. I don't know, I did a birthday because I know they can't take you to jail if they're underage. So they're running my name, and they're like, we can't find a record, and I can't find an ID on you. We're going to have to call your parents. I said I've been disowned, and really I'm like 26 or 20, but you know, I'm skinny and I don't have, you go back, you don't have your period, like you're just a waif of a person when you're a real alcoholic, maybe you know. So they're talking to themselves in the corner, and I'm listening, and they're like, well, what are we going to do? The captain's going to get mad if we take her in, but we don't want to leave her. And they're deciding whether I am a real criminal or I'm an underage, just delinquent. What do they do? And one of them goes, you know what? I kind of don't believe her because she smells like a street person. And it was their spidey sense, like they could sense. And that's why, and so they took me in, and I got booked, and I started doing time. And then ever since then, and then I stopped looking like this. I had my tracks. I had scabs on my face. I couldn't pull it off anymore. I couldn't fake it. So I'd go for longer and longer time in jail. And really, it got to a point that, I hear people say I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, or I was done, or I remember this man said, I didn't want to be an asshole anymore. Like, I just was never done, but I'd have these little inklings of light. Like I started when the monster had me in its grips, and I was a slave to the addiction and alcoholism monster, and I didn't have control over my life. I'd have these little inklings, like I'd listen to Christian music when I stole a car, and I can you please save me, please, I can't do it, and I didn't want to, and I didn't have the cojones to do it, but if someone could save me, and then a trick would try to save me and get me healthy, but it just never worked. And I prayed for the willingness, and it just never came. My bottoms just never got dark enough. So, and kept getting locked up. I couldn't get clean until I get locked up. And so my other two inklings were sometimes, where's my timer? Okay. Can you tell me when I'm halfway? Because I need to get in recovery. But I want to show you these little stars. What? Oh, we're good. They have these little stars that guided me, and one of them was not from me, but from my other addicts. So I lived on the streets, and my people were other street people. It's a community. There's honor among thieves. We take care of each other, and we don't. But those were my people. So one time I went to jail for 2 weeks. And the case got thrown out. We're so lucky, aren't we, us light-skinned people? I'm sorry. So it got kicked out, and I don't know what to do. Like, they dumped me back off in Hollywood. I don't have a place to live. I'm clean because I kicked. So what do I do? I have no tools whatsoever. Nobody's going to help me. Nobody loves me. No one even likes me. My besties are all, gutter chicks too, and dudes, and we all have abscesses and stuff. So, but I get out. I don't know what to do, so I turn a trick and I go wait in front of, Esso's. I'm waiting in the connections house because I got money in my hand, and one of my homeboys comes up and he's like, "Teri?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Didn't you just get out?" How I go, "Yeah." "How long were you in?" 2 weeks. "You're kicked." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "What the F are you doing here? Like, go be clean. You're kicked. That's your hardest part. What are you doing here? Go." Because he couldn't. I couldn't have 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks, I'm kicked, kind of. Like, I couldn't. Even though physically I had a little leg up, I had no tools, I had no emotional strength, spiritual strength, nothing. So I got strung out again, and I went to jail again and again and again. But I saw the freedom that he saw, that he wanted for me, even though I couldn't get it for myself. It was like, yeah, what am I doing here? I didn't think of it for long because, then I'm drunk, loaded, and the hamster wheel goes on. But they saw it. Okay, and then one other time. So sometimes we had to drive far away for our alcohol. So we had these things called bandit taxis. That's probably not a nice name, but we had these illegal taxis that were just people you could hire to take you down. It was not Uber. And, they were unlicensed and stuff, and like some beat up car, but they'll pick you up and for cash. So I go down to, so we made the round trip, and I go, and you're supposed to pay in cash. I go pull up right here, and we're back in Hollywood, and I go, let me get some cash. But I opened the door and I ran because I didn't have any money. I gave my liquor store the money. So I ran, and he gets out. They don't usually run after you. It's like stupid. He gets out and he runs after me. So I go in between the apartment buildings, and I'm running, and then like someone has their laundry strung out, and I go through it, and I'm like, and I got away. But when I finally get settled and get away from him, and I'm sitting and I'm gonna get my party on, I have this piece of laundry in my hand, and it's a tea towel. You know what a tea towel is? It dries, it's like a dish towel, but it's real old school. It's like real old world linen, like really soft linen that you could see through. It's white, has a couple stains on it, but like someone's abuelita, someone's grandma had stitched like a little, what's it called? Needle point? Yeah, embroidered a little, like a kitten and a teacup, and it was gray and pink, and the thing was so soft, and I thought, like, someone's family member stitched this for someone else to use in their kitchen and to dry the dishes, because they had dinner every night, and they had kids, and they had time to do this, and someone was loved enough to do it. And there was something about that tea towel. I was so far from that. That was so like, this is really the essence of life. Like doing the dishes and cooking food and making something for someone else. And I hang on to that tea towel for a long, long time, and kind of disintegrated, or I lost it on the streets like we lose everything. but because that hit me so deep in the soul, that was the beginning of like, it began to need to do something. So by the time I got, I had a 3 years joint suspended and I got busted again. So I was going to go to the penitentiary, which was fine for me because I knew I was broken. I had like God made me with a crack in it or something. I had a design flaw, and I'd either die in the gutter or I'd be a long time in the penitentiary. And I do like women and drawing, and I do well in structure, so I thought either one was fine. But for the first time, and I'm older now, I'm like 32. I mean, old to be partying still like that. Oh, one other thing that kind of saved me, I used to party, okay, so I'm still looking good, I think I do, but I bet I think. But I'd party with these women, these crackheads and junkies and alcoholics, abscesses, no teeth, which that's really valuable on the streets. Think about it. For women, and just not pretty, no teeth, on a pipe, turning tricks. I'm like, that's me. If I don't do it now, I'm there. They were good people. You know what I'm saying? I'm a good person, and I could do that. I could be that. And you're still taking care of people. I'm sorry, but you're being of service. I mean, you can do this shit with a good heart. And you laugh, but we do, and I do, and if you're loaded, you can do it. So there's no, I take this so effing seriously. I don't think I'm too good, or I look too clean, or I smell too good, or I got enough money on my phone to go back. I will go back in a hot second if I lose my shit. So I show up here, and I ask Bella to drive me, and I ask my support team to show up. And I say yes to speaking, but back to the story. Okay, so for the first time, and I've not had this before, but the public defender said, I think we could maybe get you could do your sentence in a program, because it looks on your record you've not done a program before. And a long time ago, my brother, who's a real alcoholic, he's an alcoholic, and he had 2 years sober, and he was going to AA meetings, and he tried to help me, but it didn't work. I didn't work, and I didn't really get it. It just all the steps, what? So it was weird. So yeah, I went back. So I knew it wouldn't work, but shoot, I could do my time in there, and then I'll go back again. So I'm sure. And they got me a court-appointed lockdown. Wasn't a treatment center. It was more like a halfway house that incorporated AA meetings. It was real tore up. It was in Palm Springs, but it was not Betty Ford. It was probably illegal. Unpermitted. We didn't have air conditioning in 115 degrees. We had swamp coolers, though. And we didn't even have a recovery van. We had to walk to the meeting. But we walked to a AA Nooner. That's my home group, the AA Noon meeting at the Alano Club. Oh, God, but when I got there, okay, now we're going to get in recovery. Cool. I mean, some real recovery. So I'm thrown in this place, and of course, I put on this clothes. I got picked up in Hollywood, so I have all black on. So it's 115 degrees. I'm showing up this place with this all black. I had been walking the streets. I have all black, and I have boots on, and I have no money because I spent it all. The driver who drove me to the lockdown recovery house, he let me stop and get feminine products or whatever I need. I did have a little money on my books, and I bought all candy with it. I didn't even need those feminine products. And he goes, you might want to get sunglasses, but I got Reese's, I got all this shit. So I got there, and this girl Lisa Lozano, she came up to me and she goes, she gave me some clothes because they had to give away clothes. She gave me a T-shirt and something else, and so I wore that T-shirt for about a month, and I realized it when I pulled it out. It said, and remember, I'm like 82 pounds. It was a big maternity T-shirt, and it had a kangaroo looking at its pouch, and it said "baby on board," and I'm this sucked up thing. Anyways, so I was locked down. I wasn't able to go to meetings, but I wasn't sleeping yet. I was 6 weeks incarcerated when they kicked me out, and they wouldn't let me to go to meetings. They wouldn't let me do anything, and they were searching my stuff and just kind of, I was observation, and I wasn't sleeping yet. And I had these bunks, and so when the sun was starting to come up, I'd look out my window, and there was this guy. He was a resident there. This is Casey, my sobriety brother, but I didn't know yet. Out the window, I'd watch. He had a truck, and he'd load his tools. He had coffee that he made, and cigarettes. He could, had enough money to buy cigarettes. His hands were not shaking, and he'd load his tools in the trucks. They didn't get stolen the night before. He was a handyman, and he was a resident, and probably he had 6 months. Oh my God, and I just ooh, this guy's getting up to go to work, a respectable job every day. He wore a cowboy hat. He had this kind of a mustache, handlebar, and very methodical. Woke up on time. I'm like, I had some mad respect for him. I don't know who he was, but I'm like, this is, to me, in reality now, this was AA. That's the epitome of AA. We can do this. So eventually we became friends, and I did get to go to outside meetings. But before I went to outside meetings, I asked KC to get some names of women because they told me to do the steps or I'm going to get loaded again. So I was going to do it, even though I knew it wouldn't work, but I was going to do it anyways so I could, justify when I die in the gutter. So he came back with a couple names, 3 names. I couldn't pronounce 2 of them, but one of them was Linda G. So I called Linda G, and she came in, and she started doing the steps with me. And then when I had a pass so I can go out, she'd take me out to this pie shop, and she started doing the steps with me. And I swear, I don't know what I was reading. I don't know what I was writing. I wasn't comprehending it, but I did it anyways. And it was as thorough of a 4th and 5th and so on step as I could do at that time. And I did not wait 6 months or a year or 3 years or 5 years till I was ready. I was like, throw me that rifle, what's that buoy thing called? That round lifesaver. Yeah, throw it to me. I don't care, but I know I can hold on. So I did that. And then I started getting to go to meetings. And then I got a job at that pie house. She'd take me to this pie house, and the manager was in recovery. She had 10 years or something, and so she was kind, and she'd hire newcomers. I could barely talk, but I could pour coffee, and the nice people, they'd say, "Oh, good morning, good morning." I wouldn't talk, but they were happy to see me, and then so after a while I'd go, "More coffee, and just being of service, someone happy to see me, and I was giving sustenance to. There's something very just basic human need that I'm fulfilling in that. And I'd serve them pancakes and shepherd's pie and meatloaf, and they were happy and they were healthy, and then they'd chit-chat with me. So I began to learn how to talk. And I filled the ketchup bottles, and I had some responsibility that I could do, and that was huge in AA. That was huge in my recovery. And still going to meetings and doing whatever they said, and I still knew I wasn't going to make it. I was so scared when I got out. I got out after a year and something. I was much larger person. I love those pies. Sugar is a great, happy thing for me. I still love sugar. But I was so scared after I got out of that recovery house that I got with someone. I had another person in recovery, and we were a couple, and we moved right across the street from the Alano Club. There was some cheap-ass apartments there. And so, and I was so afraid of having a pet, but I did get an iguana because I figured I could have an iguana because I'd abandoned pets in my alcoholism, and I'm sorry. So I'd go to the noon meeting, and I'd do my breakfast shift at the Pie House, and I'd go to the noon meeting, and I was there every day, and probably at about 6 months or something, they needed a new secretary, and like no one was raising their hands, and someone volunteered me, and I go, no, I can't do it, and they go, Teri, you're here every day anyways, just do it. And I go, no, I can't. You need to get a real person who's going to stay sober. I didn't trust my sobriety. They go, just do it till, do it pro tem. They said, be our secretary pro tem until we can, temporary. Well, shit, 9 months went by. I fulfilled that commitment. And I'm like, whoa, who is that? And I used to bicycle to work. Casey put together a bike for me, and then tow truck Todd, this guy from the 12 noon meeting, I bought a car from him from his junkyard, and weighed my way in AA, and I was not a very good mate. I was a good friend. I was a good employee. I was a good AAer and a good employee. But I didn't have enough bandwidth to be a good friend or sister or cousin or daughter for a long time, and I was not a good mate. I just didn't care enough. I'm sorry. But I cared about you if I had to pour you coffee or bring you a pie, something about that. I cared for people, if I don't have to spend a lot of time with you. And so I at 2 years, I moved back. I moved back to LA at 2 years, and I got a crappy little apartment in the valley, and I got a cat, and I went to meetings, and had a couple relationships that I became a little bit of a better person in relationships, but still my focus was I had so much to prove, and I know this is probably, I know this is a character defect and this is ego, but I was such a bad person, like our speaker was saying. I just had so much to make up for, and I just wanted to be so kind to people, and I wanted to show them that I could show up and not be a flake and not steal from you, and that I went up in my career. I'm an event planner. I produce big events now. First I poured coffee, but big nonprofit fundraisers for hospitals and weddings, and it's my honor to serve people. It's part of, my life in AA. I just love it. So, and I've done the steps a couple times over with a more clear head and with different amends and character defects that I become aware of, and I've made big amends and small amends where the people don't even know who I am, but they don't know what I took, but I had to tell them. And stores, I've made amends to. Probably in the last 10 years, 12 years, I dug deeper in AA, so I could become a better person. Like, I was fulfilled in my job, and I feel like, okay, I'm responsible. I ran my own business and employed people, and that was good, and showed up and was responsible. So I feel like, okay, I can do that, but I can't do this. Like, I was not good at relationships. So I didn't purposely try to do it, but I just, you get more, you evolve and expand in AA. Like, you can be as, wherever you want to go. If you want to play the harp, or if you want to, go hike a mountain, or if you want to be a guru, like whatever you want to do, if you stick with this program, you can do whatever you want to do. And I really wanted depth because I was kind of a shallow person. I probably still am, but I'm a writer and I'm good. I'm good with people, and I'm a good writer. So I met someone, and I really, really, really wanted to keep her. I just really wanted her, and she's not in AA, but she doesn't drink, and she's down, and she's very intense, and she's serious but funny, and so I'm attracted to her, and she's attracted to me because I'm kind of light-hearted and fun, and I am down, but it doesn't show unless I let you see it. So I worked so hard, like I knew I wasn't ready for her. I knew, so I worked secretly, like I wanted her so bad. I intuited that it was besert, if you know what that word is, that it's like we were the yin and yang for each other. So I worked with my sponsor, I worked with my bestie, my sobriety sister. Casey died, I'm sorry, of leukemia, sober. And I worked with people, and I did a lot of work so I could be a good person, so I could be a good mate. And I wrote a lot about like what that would take and how my character defects in relationships and my meanness in relationships that come out after a while. Like I worked hard for that. And I also was very vulnerable with her. Like I had to tell her I had hepatitis C, which I've been cured of because now we have those cures, but a lot of IV users have that. And I had to tell her that, and I had to tell her I'm in recovery and I'm a formerly incarcerated people. This person is a upstanding citizen. Like she gets awards and shit. And she's anyways, we're a funny pair. It's like it's the lawyer and the convict, but it's, can you see it? But she's cool, and she comes to meetings with me, sometimes open meetings. But, I had to work hard on myself, and I had to ask AA for help, and I had to be vulnerable, and I have to be willing, and I still do. Like, if something should happen and she disappears, or she doesn't like me anymore, or I don't like anymore, that is something I have to give up, but I cannot give up AA. It's like God and AA. My sobriety is top, and within that is God and my higher power, because I do not get here by myself. I am a gutter junkie, as you know. I'm an alcoholic, so I now have, I think, a successful relationship, a successful marriage, a business that I'm retiring. I house people, I house pets, I take care of people, I take care of pets, I take care of my family, an extended family, my South Bay cousins, I'm pretty involved in their life. We have babies popping out now and go to family events. We're still out on that same beach that our moms were drinking and laughing at us. We still go and hang out at the beach used to be the Green Street Market. Is it still? Green Store, yeah, right down there. That's still our beach, yeah. So, okay, and check this out. So I had my 30th sobriety date this last summer. My date is July 5th, which is not like, I partied too hard on the 4th of July, so I decided to get sober. It was my first day clean. Like, I was incarcerated on July. I got busted on the 5th. It was just another day. And so on the 6th, that was the first full day I was locked up. So that is my sobriety date. So I have, I had a little party, and And I invited sober people and friends and things. And so my friend brought a friend, and I really liked her. And she was from South Bay, and she's kind of like retro punk, sober, some long-term sobriety. We really hit it off. And ever since then, I've been coming to this meeting off and on with, I'm going to keep it anonymous, but I have a friend in here, and she's what brought me up here. Yeah. And one day, in the middle of summer, I came to this meeting, and it was hot. It was even hot. It was hot in the valley. It was so hot here, but it turned cloudy. Remember that day? I wore this. It was not a muumuu, but those things that gurus wear. Kaftan, like it had paisley things, like a hippie. And we were going to go out after. Anyways, I met a person who said I should speak here, and she was in this like 1992 punk outfit that was straight up like plaid skirt with black boots, and it was so funny. And we hung out, and we looked like such a pair. And we are like, there's so many different people. AA says that we're all these people that shouldn't be hanging out together or wouldn't be hanging out together, but we're all in the same life raft, trying to save each other and ourselves. So if you came here in a recovery van, I hope you can't come back even when they don't drive you here. Just remember that if you smell good and you're clean now, keep coming back, because just remember when you're not. I mean, don't forget that. And it doesn't ever have to be that way again. And I know we want it that way sometimes, but just show up. You'll die a happier person. That's kind of my goal now. I want to die fulfilled and happy. And I need to surf again. So I got this rotator cuff surgery, and it's almost healed. But anyways, in about 6 months, I'll be out again on my longboard. Okay, so I think I'm wrapping it up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience with my story. I love you, each and every one of you. Like one of your AA, there's a guy that came up to me. I was like, kind of nervous. He goes, "We're all your best friends. We're all your roommates." And you're like, all right, this is good. So thank you for letting me borrow Grapevine.